So Bruce and I have spoken on the podcast several times before, and so we have the basic 411. And Bruce was a bike messenger for over 3 decades. And I've invited Bruce over tonight just to shoot the shit, maybe tell some stories, and to help to grease his thinking. I've presented some of the Gwadzilla Presents mini books. And so why don't you grab a book and maybe read the title and then quickly glance through. So,
okay, this is number 1, Best of Bike Messengers. It's a 20 years of bicycle messengers in Washington, D.C. Gwadzilla Presents.
Yeah, so why don't you open that and just take a look at some of the pictures. So that there's 5 large books, and the large books have massive. And these small books will have 1 page with maybe 4 or 6 photos of the person. But in the large books, there could be 6 pages and 40 photos of some of these people. So are you recognizing anybody in these photos?
88.
So 88, that's Jeff Painted Nails. So yeah. And so Jeff is still out there, and I'm not sure, but Jeff and Suave, I'm curious, who is the current longest running messenger? So for a long time it was Scrooge, and then Scrooge and Mark, Stuttering Mark, were neck and neck with it. But then Scrooge, I think, had, there's an asterisk because I think he was in-house doing some dispatching.
Yeah.
But then he was back on the street, and so it's still in the question. But Scrooge has now transitioned to being on a powered scooter, an e-scooter, like not sit on top, but like kid skateboard style. And then Mark has retired and I think moved to Baltimore. But so I think that changes. Who do you think has the most years in now? Could it be Suave? Could it be Jeff Painted Nails?
I'm not really sure, because when I started becoming a courier here in DC in 1899, no, I'm kidding, 1989, and I had basically no social with other bikers. I was just playing soccer and ultimate frisbee, and then I would go home with my wife. I didn't do any Alleycats or anything, so I didn't really talk to other couriers much. But I knew that Suave came and played soccer at noon on the ellipse.
So the courier and the courier culture has an interesting thing of being the independent contractor, in which that a lot of people, they didn't try and work the machine. They just showed up. Maybe they did a few runs. They hung out in the park, did a few more runs, maybe complained they weren't getting work. But a lot of people were into the hanging out, and other people were into trying to make as much money as possible. It was commission. And, I know that, we've spoken before, you, like many people, when you found that maybe one company wasn't keeping you busy enough that you could efficiently work for 2. And I didn't necessarily overlap with 2 companies, but I would, if I was put on the list for Apple, I would call Best. And I would pick up anywhere. I didn't care where I was. I would ride for free, because riding to pick up a package and then make a delivery made more sense than me waiting for me to get. And I would, and then I would continue to press Apple to, anything now, because there's such a favoritism that can go on with the dispatcher.
Oh, true.
Who are they thinking of? And it could be who showed up, or who shows up the most consistent, or who's buying them weed, And
I was wondering if a lot of dispatchers were actually earning money from couriers.
Yeah, exactly.
So paying them under the table.
Exactly. If you get me to $150, I'll give you $10.
Yeah.
And if they have a few people, I remember there was this guy, and I posted a photo of this guy, Jim Noonan, doing a skateboard trick that people were saying was like very dynamic. I don't know. It wasn't a rock and roll slide, but it looked like some sort of slide like that. But Jim Noonan was a ramp skater as well as a bike racer, a mountain bike racer, and a messenger. And I remember walking into a law firm, and there would be 20 packages, and there would be one for me, and Jim would get the rest of them. It's like, how is that? And yeah.
Wow.
But he was there year round. He was committed, showing up time, but I think he was also housemates with. But he was an interesting character, and I don't really know much about him. But that's the skateboarding overlap I've talked about in other podcasts, and I think the messenger thing is often interesting. And next time you have a name to bring up, we'll switch to that. But because of the cultures that overlapped it, there were a lot of musicians that worked as bike messengers. Musicians needed the freedom; they couldn't have a job, quit a job to tour. Yeah. Or a mini tour, so they needed a job that gave them the flexibility that when they came back to town, they could just show up and start working. I remember there's this one guy, it was amazing alone that he rode a beach cruiser. DC's flat, but it's not that flat. And he had crazy long hair, and apparently he sang in a band, and he would belt out his songs while he rode a beach cruiser. And he lived on a sailboat. Now, do you know who that messenger was, or do you remember anybody who fits that description that could predate?
I don't really know who that would be. I remember that there was one courier who only had one arm.
Yeah, so there was a guy who was...
Yeah, I think he had blonde hair.
Yeah, blonde hair. So that is one-armed Willie. And I don't know, I can't off the top of my head remember what Willie's name was, but in addition, so Willie was an all-state wrestler. And I think he had an accident. His family maybe had an HVAC system company, and he had suffered a serious accident. But so he was already this very dynamic athlete. Yeah. And so he worked as a messenger. He was a messenger with one arm, riding a mountain bike and knocking it out.
Yeah.
But he was also, and I know that you were hanging out with Solly, and he may predate Solly, but he was also on the national rugby team.
Solly was?
Solly was, but one-armed Willie was.
Okay.
And so I lived out in Colorado. I lived out in Breckenridge, Colorado, and I was snowboarding. And when I lived in Breckenridge, Colorado, I would see one-armed Willie.
Huh.
And one-armed Willie worked at the Breckenridge Outdoor Education Center. And he worked with disabled skiers. And, he's essentially able-bodied.
Oh, yeah.
That he was missing an arm isn't why he's probably the only person missing an arm doing the job that he does. It was, I think, because he was inspired. Sometimes I'd see him going down the mountain, and these people would be, I don't know if you ski, but they're low to the ground, almost like in a little chair. And there's a lot of different ways that different people with various handicaps can ski. Some people have like a prosthetic or whatever. But so that was my last update. That of course is 30 years ago. That's pre-marriage and pre-kids for me. But so one-armed Willie, it is interesting what messengers, who they were and who they became. Did you see anybody else in that book that you wanted to mention or have a story about?
I think that one of these guys in here is Timmy. And
so Timmy's still out there.
Oh yeah. And he and we've played soccer a few times, and Timmy works for one of the couriers he earns for is Real Courier with Pat, and Pat's picture is here too.
Yeah, so exactly. So I took photographs of bicycle culture, but these are books of bicycle messengers from 2004 to 2024, and so Pat Riggins is an also longtime messenger.
Oh, yeah.
But similar to you.
But he's a driver.
He's a driver now.
Yeah.
And so Ali suffered the same fate. You're adults, you're businessmen. And
I worked for Ali also. Yeah.
And so you were on the bike, but now you're in the car.
Right.
And you're still involved in, so we could switch gears for one more second. So you're wearing a Washington Express shirt. And I know you never. I thought about making a book of people just in Washington Express shirts, but so Washington.
Well, they probably had more than 50 bikers
back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, was it mandatory that they wore their uniform?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
And now, were the jerseys?
By the way, I've never worked for them. I just got it because it was a long sleeve, and I wanted a jersey.
Yeah, it's iconic. But so let's say so. There's a company called Washington Express. Are there any other messenger companies that employ people on bike other than Washington Express in 2026?
Real Courier does. Timmy.
Well, okay, we have Real Courier, and so Real Courier is a 3-person operation, right?
Best Messenger.
Okay, and how many people do you think they have?
They have one guy who works for them, and I do some jobs every morning.
All right, and so is Best Messenger, is that Martin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
their dispatcher used to be a courier.
And who's that? And Martin used to be a motorcycle messenger, so that's the evolution. That's hilarious. So yeah, so a lot of these people that you've talked about, like they worked for a company, and they kind of peaked, and they said, "I want to make more money. How do I make more money?" And that's to start their own company. And so yeah, so Martin he was a motorcycle messenger, and he was a business savvy guy, and you know, the companies would have these reputations, and back in the day, it was Best Messenger, and it was a company that they knew that they would not overhire, basically, and the people could make real money for them. You know, other companies, like, I don't know, and back in the day,
Best Messenger, he's a former biker. Now he's driving. That's PJ. He works for Best Messenger also. He's driving.
Paul Joyner.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, and I'm not hating on that. So Paul's in a moment right now where, like, last couple of years he's been hyped on hosting some Alleycats. Does he have anything?
Awkward.
What's that?
Awkward Alleycats. There's always issues.
Yeah, I think that that's like, it's a sad signature that messengers will often throw an Alleycat with a few too many glitches. And I think starting on time, starting on time can be pretty bad. But people tend to forget it if it's a good race. Yeah. I get pretty grumpy, at the Dead City. I was shocked that Bob didn't start on time. But once he says go, I totally forgot how long we'd been standing in the cold for. And with PJ, it's the exact opposite. You're standing in the heat. You and I did a race together, and I suffered heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
And a contributing factor was,
it was like an hour and a half after the schedule, or 2 hours.
Well over.
Okay.
And you know what? I had the wisdom of showing up, trying to be like 15 minutes before, no socializing. We were there so long, I had drank all my water just from sitting, and had to go to Walgreens, and there was time. But, once the race started, it was a great race. He throws a great race. It's a lot of fun. He throws a party. We had a great time hanging out. Yeah. I'm stoked he does it. I just wish he would start on time. I think, Sleazy G wanted a little more, like, attention to the podium, but I don't know. I think it's fun. He gets to host it with his personality, and yeah, I'll do more of I'll continue to do his races, even if I grumble about it, Because not that many people throw races, and
True.
But he's been trying to bring it back, but
if Biggs was not doing Alleycats and you and me, the whole thing might stop.
Yeah, so it is a carrying of the torch, and Dario, don't forget Dario.
There's 4 people.
Yeah, so Dario, but people want to get in there. It can be tough to get on the calendar,
Yeah.
Because everyone, I almost threw one last weekend, whatever. But I had been watching the weather, and it turned out it would have been okay
in the 50s. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just hesitant, But it actually wouldn't have worked because the Alleycat I had planned on throwing, I wanted to end in my backyard, and my backyard was still snow.
Yeah.
And but maybe I'll jump in and do 420 Alleycat April. We'll see, what I could come up with. So Biggs is expecting in April. He's not actually expecting.
Of a child, because
Biggs is married.
Yes.
And his wife is pregnant, and so even, approaching the date, the odds of getting him to do another Alleyecat,
You mean competing or organizing?
I think that he'll organize mess life, but I think that lockdown can happen,
True.
It's important to stay, I've got 2 kids and I continue to be active, but I'll tell you, the Alleycat's a tough thing to do because you don't know how long it's going to take and where it's going to end for you. And if it starts 3 hours late, then you're going for 7 hours.
Yeah.
And so, people with commitments, marriage is a big Alleycat racer killer.
Coach is married. He has 2 kids. Coach will show up, he'll race, and as soon as he finishes, he's go home. He doesn't know the prizes or rates. He goes home.
Well, it was great that he showed up. He showed up to, Andy Zalen Messenger Appreciation Day Alleycat, which I did get second at. So I think against Coach, I really got first because, it's not really fair to compare. No, but so yeah, it's fun that he does come back, and exactly, he still rides his bike, but
he rides a lot with his kids. Those kids of his.
Yeah, so his
like
kids.
2nd grade and kindergarten, maybe.
Sounds about right.
3rd and kindergarten, 1st and 3rd grades. Yeah, and both those kids are really good bikers.
Yeah, and so they don't just.
And so is the wife. Yeah.
Well, except the kids, the older daughter is dabbling in. She's on a local team, Rock Creek Velo, which is a little kid team local to this. But over the years, this Rock Creek Velo team has spawned these athletes. These kids get good, and I see them at the cross races, but some of them have gotten elite good. And there were several women from Bethesda who had moved from Rock Creek Velo to Devo, this development team of Crosshair Cycling that is tangential to Crosshairs that Jay Dove and Elliot Caldwell and Danny Kay are involved with.
Oh, really?
And Taylor Jones. They're the ones, whatever. So, but these kids spawn this, and so she is in that, and so she rides cyclocross, she mountain bikes, and then her dad, her and her younger brother have been doing BMX, and so Coach is like, oh, I'm there, I might as well race or practice or whatever, and so so he's definitely getting on the bike, but the Alleycat isn't as much like. But that's not true, I'll tell you. In the last hours of STEM, I was shocked, and I would tease him. I would see him in the park getting a beer on the way home, or stopping in the park. I think maybe with the kids' schedule in school, he had more freedom. But now they're working. He's his office is what, Silver Spring? Hyattsville. So he's riding in the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's not as downtown social. So we can jump back. So Coach works for Urban Stems along with Andy Zalen, handling, managing certain aspects of a flower delivery company. And so we just experienced in August, after over 10 years of bicycle delivery with Urban Stems, they closed their bicycle division.
True.
And so for 10 years, they had a fleet of Omnium cargo bikes, and they had several full-time employees, and they had a cast of characters who could make mega bucks on various holidays, just like with edible arrangements.
Yeah.
People would come in, Dario, David Confer, myself, whoever, and we could make
John Din.
Yeah. And the list goes on. I mean, John Din was in there for years, making money. I think he might have actually been a full-time guy for a minute. I'm not positive, and then went back to his, I don't know. I need to have John Din here. But so here it is, Valentine's Day just passed, and so to me, that kind of marks like, oh, what a sad day that DC Bicycle Messengers, we're talking about like what companies still exist, and Urban Stems, in a lot of ways, was hiring the best of the best and keeping the bicycleness alive. I have photos. So see if you can find a book here, Messengers Carrying More Than an Envelope. And there's probably this one right here. So take a flip into there and see if you mention some names. So there will be a page of Urban STEM people And, you know, so, yeah, a lot of people did some time for them. 10 years, that's a good bit of miles for the bike culture.
Jeez.
Who do you see?
That's probably me.
I mean, you can guess that that's you, but yeah, that is you.
Yeah, because it has the spoke cards in the front.
And above you is Alleycat.
Yeah.
And who else you see? But yeah. So yeah, that's a photo of you. So what was it? So okay, so there you are. You're carrying like, what is it? It's a huge flat piece of cardboard. It looks like a sail, and that's actually quite dangerous. You can't see, and if the wind blows.
Crosswords.
Yeah.
Cross.
So was that Try Tom's client? Because he was classic. I saw him. He had a system where he would take packaging tape and create a strap.
Yeah.
For his large sail size, because he delivered them every day.
I think this was working for Danny K.
Yeah, so it sounds right, because when Try Tom retired, he probably gave his work to Danny K. Because Danny K used to fill in for him when Tom would have a race and have to travel. Because I have photos of Danny K around 20th and M taking off with a sail size package. It's probably in that book. So that book of, you know, bike messengers carrying more than an envelope. It's interesting. Well, one, those photos all exist.
Carrying something more than an envelope.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting because other than the urban stamps people on the Omnium cargo bike, very few people even use a rack. And it amuses me that Timmy doesn't use a rack.
Right.
Like, it's your career. You know, it's like you're using a screwdriver to drive in a nail. You know, if I would either ride an Omnium cargo bike, or I would get one of those front racks with the front wheel, the smaller front wheel where the fork has a rack built in. I know he likes to move, but and he's good, and I get it. I have photos of him. I have several photos of him. I have a book over there. It's Bike Messengers Passing the Hirshhorn. And now one of the photos I have of him is actually at the National Gallery of Art. But I also have a photo of him passing the Hirshhorn. But I figured it's a block away from the Hirshhorn. The Hirshhorn was within view. Who do you see?
Lots of people. And a lot of people, I can't remember their names.
You and the names. It would be helpful if you could remember the names. Yeah. I was wondering if I should have had alcohol or coffee for you. These things are elixirs. And they can lubricate the brain. You work today, you're 70 years old.
Yeah.
So I think Shane was on that last page.
Shane.
At the top. Look at the top. No. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a different photo.
This is the guy who works on bike.
Yeah, that's Rod Smith.
Yeah.
Look at the one in the lower right-hand corner.
This?
I'm sorry, that page. Yeah, look at it. Who is that? Abraham Lincoln, working for Edible Arrangements.
Wow.
What's that?
I'm not sure who that would be.
You don't recognize Abraham Lincoln? So that's my bike. And then I saw the Washington Nationals have these mascots.
Right.
The presidents that go around. And so I have a bunch of photos. I would get those presidents to get on my bike, and then I would take their picture. Uh-oh, Bruce is pulling out his phone. Old people love to get out their phone.
I'm trying to remember things.
Oh, God, remember stuff. You're good for 70. All right, so you had your knee redone. You're doing a little PT. And we had that food today. Do you take any supplements or vitamins?
No.
Do you think that you eat healthy?
Somewhat, yeah. I don't eat enough vegetables and fruit. I need to do more.
Well, did you eat that whole salad tonight?
Well, I did it.
You finished. I didn't finish mine.
Yeah.
But as I said, I had a very late lunch. Not that it was healthy, but normally I would have eaten a full salad. But I thank you for that. And but yeah, so you're 70. So I don't necessarily take vitamins all the time or go through periods. So how about hydration?
I probably need to drink more. Yeah.
Stretching?
Currently, the last 3 years I've been driving, and so like every 10, 15, 20 minutes, getting out of the car, exercising, making a delivery.
I don't know if walking, making the delivery, I guess.
It's better than sitting in the car the whole time, like a bus driver.
Yeah, I hear you.
Or at a desk looking at your computer.
The driving is bad. I would say, so no, these are things that I try and remind myself. Some of the best things in life are free, and walking is one of them. We should start and end each day with a glass of water.
Mm.
You know, just think, yeah, there you go. Drink more water. I'm gonna have some more water too. But some of it, just think, you're gonna sleep. I mean, I wake up with a dry mouth. You know, we've gone this long period.
In my bed, on top of one of my frisbees, is a bike bottle, and I drink.
But you should chug a whole glass.
But I don't want the bike bottle to fall over, which is why I have it sitting on a frisbee, like a plate. Yeah.
What if you hit the frisbee, then you botched your system? Still recording. Well, you know, I'm on Instagram and I see all these reels and there's all this self-help stuff and all these great stretches. And I need to stretch more. I need to sleep more. You know, I want to be healthy and active when I'm 70. One-handed, we need you to.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do it for the camera. Let's see it. Let's see what you got.
I'm having a wrist problem in
You're cheating with your thumb, I think.
No. Oh.
Are you cheating with your thumb? Get a little grip on that.
Okay.
You keep reaching up and stopping them.
I play polo, and my right hand with the pole is almost always sore. And I played last night, and it was sore. And what's his name? He was kind of yanking my pole, so it was hurting my wrist. Anyway.
So as a defense, he was yanking your pole, or just fucking with you?
He was messing. He was holding, so I would not be able to do what I wanted to do. Jeez.
Yeah.
Maybe I will go back to the right.
God.
I'm right-handed. Oh, this is fun.
So I know you enjoy ping pong. How was Dolores at ping pong?
Terrible.
So you played her left-handed?
Somewhat.
And still beat her?
How's this?
Come on. No, you lost it. You almost had it.
So anyway, my brother and I used to play a lot of ping pong in the basement on top of the pool table. Jeez, I had that. Anyway, I grew up in the Philippines from kindergarten through 10th grade, and in the Philippines in high school, we had varsity table tennis, ping pong, whatever, and I was one of them.
Yeah, but when people are really good at ping pong, it becomes a whole different game. You know.
I've never played ping pong with Coach, but I know he plays. He's talked about it, and he's tried to suggest that we play.
Well,
in Tacoma Park.
I think Coach is an interesting study. Again, like, he's a very humble guy.
Jeez, I can't believe I haven't got this yet.
But apparently, baseball was his game as a kid. And yeah, it's fun. I saw his wife on her bike in Tacoma Park, and yeah, she rides with them, and she will mountain bike. But I mean, these kids are going for it. Like, if they don't burn out, like, they could be the future of
high caliber.
Yeah. The funnel, it's hard, but it has to be somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like only one person gets to be the national champion. You know, but it has to be somebody. And Yeah, it's curious. It's curious, you know.
Wow.
And like I said, I mean, it's interesting that it coincides, but I think that even if there wasn't this excellent youth development program in this area, I think just, you know, having Coach be your dad is going to be enough imprinting to make you, you know, good at, yeah, don't break my toy. Let me put that thing back.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised I didn't get it done.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think I want to do it because, you know, I don't want to like be embarrassed, you know. I think it's like, you know.
That's amazing.
What is? I don't want to
Wow,
ruin.
you're doing it fast.
Yeah, but if you don't do it all the way, it doesn't matter.
Is this cap from you given to me?
Yes.
I'm surprised. I tried to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my cap.
And did you sew this on top?
No. That's how it came.
Original.
And then
Okay.
but because the plastic broke,
Yeah, this.
yeah, I was like, I retired it.
Yeah.
You know, with the trim beard, so with my longer beard, I'm already borderline on the verge of looking like I'm homeless. So if my clothing has too many holes in it, and a lot of my stuff does, you know, it's just not good. Like yeah, exactly. I couldn't wear these in public. Exactly. Like lounging around the house. But it's true. So so you play bike polo. Do you have any tournaments coming up?
There is a very big tournament where they're going to have at least 70 players. And it's in Frederick, and there are 2 hockey rinks right next to each other. And so there's a nice place in between for people to have conversations. And it's in Frederick, and it's going to be I think, the 3rd weekend of April. And it's called Thaw every spring. And then we also have another tournament in the fall, and we call that Frost. And so there'll be people coming from Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, and maybe even people from Canada and out in California. And
so there was a DC Messenger, Jordan, and he moved to Canada.
Correct, Jordan.
Will he bring a team, or will he come and compete with you guys?
There are different tournaments that have different ways to figure out things. And our thing is we have ratings of 1/3 of the players as like an A player, and the middle quality people are 2, and you know, it's 1, 2, 3. The rookies or lousy players. And so it's random from a pool.
So they create teams.
Yes, for Saturday. And then whoever scores the most goals on Saturday becomes a captain, and then they draft teams. And polo, by the way, is only 3 against 3. However, on Sunday, the players that scored the most goals on Saturday take turns.
For how many teams?
Maybe 8 teams. So then there'll be 6, 7, or 8 players. And there always has to be a C player on the court all the time. So you could have 2 Bs and 2 As, or 1 A and 1 B and 1 C, but there always has to be a C player on the court.
Sort of. So I played co-ed volleyball.
On Sunday.
I played co-ed volleyball.
Okay.
And in co-ed volleyball, if you do 3 touches, one of them has to be a woman.
Oh, okay. But what happens if it's just 2?
If man touches
Or just
and
one.
then man touches, a woman's got to touch it. You can't go guy to guy. Because otherwise...
But one person could cross it over.
Yeah, any one person could return it.
Yeah.
But that's usually, unless it's a block, it's usually just,
Sure.
you know. But, so that's that's a very creative and cool format. And Frederick, the reason it's called Thaw is because it's a slightly higher elevation that does get a little bit more snow. And you know, if you're on like Gambler, like mountain biking, just like there's Frederick, it's lower, but those little hills right there, and that's on the way to Thurmont, and then the little ski hills of Liberty and Whitetail. So okay, so to bring it back to the messengers.
Just a second. Thaw, for one time in maybe 12 years, there was snow that week, and we had to do a lot of shoveling to thaw it, to get rid of it.
Exactly.
But the other days, it's been dry.
Yeah, because I think in some ways, like, it's sort of like saying, like, maybe even season opener type thing,
right.
like, oh, we've been itching to play, let's just make it happen, and it could be the season opener, because they haven't been able to play all winter unless they have an indoor court, which is possible, but so since, with the reflection on the messengers, can you think off the top of your head, like, who are some of the people who have played, and who have been some of the more dynamic polo players to come out of DC? Was there a time when there was a polo peak? Like I know that Jason Stevenson is an excellent athlete.
Yeah.
And was he a good polo player?
Yes.
And so does that mean he's a good
also
defender?
Competed in the World Championships in Paris.
In polo?
Yes.
That's very cool. And of course I want to interview Jason Stevenson. So off the top, that's off the top of my head. And who else? A coach was a strong polo player,
but he didn't really like tournaments.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Ali?
No.
He's an amazing bike handler, but he wasn't
not a very good polo player.
That's interesting. Interesting. Okay, but who was good? Keep going.
Bruce Legend.
That's awesome.
So
what's Bruce's skill? Now, does Bruce? I would think that Bruce would be good because he'd probably play defense and pass a good deal that helps a team to win. Am I correct in thinking that?
I understand how dynamics of sports because of soccer. Yeah, and I've also lettered in tennis, so that's hitting things like the ball with a pole.
I've never played pickleball before in my life.
No.
But you know what? Maybe that's something that you and I should do. Because it's like I play ping pong with you, but I've never played tennis. But I think with the less movement, I think we could have some fun.
Just remember, I've had 3 surgeries on my knee, and then I've had replacement. So now I don't jump and I don't move sideways.
Never mind.
Yeah, I move a little bit slow.
Play catch with Frisbee and we'll try and get it to each other. We have had some great Can Jam tournaments.
Yeah.
So let's think, who else? So I brought that name up, and then and it is interesting to know because Ali. A story I like to tell about Ali was one time I was I don't know, I might have been doing edible or I could have been with CBS News, I'm not sure, but I was down by the Treasury over past the White House, and I saw Ali, and he was doing backward circles.
Yeah, and he's done more than 90.
He was in the hundreds.
Okay.
And he's so relaxed with it, and he says it's some sort of mathematics because he doesn't get dizzy, and he can carry on a conversation. But I'm not sure. Maybe I was making delivery because why did I come back? But like, Danny Kaye came up. I took a few pictures, and then I left, and I came back, and he was like up to like 1,000. But like, I mean, that was at a time where like, and I had seen YouTube videos of like Andy Zalin doing like 30 and getting like, jaw-dropping applause because of the awesomeness.
Yeah.
And so I figured that like Ali must be like this polo, wizard. Because I mean,
just so you know, at one of the national championships, I was playing polo, and one of my teammates was Andy Zalin, and the other was the guy you were just talking about.
Ali?
Yes. We were a team, and it was terrible. They were so frustrated with each other and frustrated with their teammates and against the opponents who were good.
Yeah, Andy Zalin. So
when we ended up winning at one of the polo games, Andy Zalin was so frustrated that we lost that he threw his mallet across the tennis fences. He threw it out.
Not his best moment. Yeah, Andy Zalin. So I think that, I think that hockey would be Andy's soccer. Like, like he grew up playing hockey,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's 2 goals, and hockey even, soccer doesn't go behind the goal, but hockey and bike polo do, right?
Yes.
And so, so like his understanding of the game.
And hockey and polo is you can hit it against the wall back to yourself.
Uh-huh.
Whereas in soccer, it's out of bounds. Pat throw.
Throw in. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, that's, exactly. I played indoor, but.
So did I.
Yeah. And turf. But, exactly.
Yeah.
You couldn't play off a wall, and, that's hilarious, and I love Andy's personality. He's one cool cucumber.
True.
To lose his cool and throw his mallet seems so funny, All right, so there's some other books here. So there's a few books here that are curious. Let's see.
Bike Messengers at DuPont Circle. Most of them were drunk, right?
No.
Hirshhorn Museum. Chinatown. Hot Dog Cart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, just
On the
flip around.
cart.
So what the interesting thing with that, just look at it. So ubiquitous, whatever. So hot dog carts you spin every corner. So I just took
That's interesting.
photos
Yeah.
that have messengers.
Ben's Chili.
Where there just happens. Is that you walking out of Ben's Chili Bowl?
Oh, I'm just sitting there. Oh, yeah.
You didn't
And
even.
my bike is against the bear.
The panda. And so so there used to be hot dog carts on every corner, and Chris Soda, rest his soul, he had an account. Yeah, so
And this
is Lola.
She is a wonderful person. She really is.
I think that Andy Zalen and Lola dated for a while. I think he might have even moved to Atlanta, and then no longer in Atlanta.
Yeah, she's doing medical stuff. She's such a good person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's Chip, who's still out there.
Yeah.
That's Swampy, Pat Riggins.
Right.
Yep. And so, maybe I can
Oh, by the way, my wife.
hold that up so people can see.
My wife and I, we were going with Pat in my car. We were going up to go to Matt's relative's place against the ocean, and on the way, Matt was driving his pickup truck with all kinds of furniture in the back, and Pat and my wife Dolores and I, we were driving our car, and on our way up to the beach up in New Jersey, Matt's truck died. So we decided we're not going up to Matt's place. So we turned around and we went to Pennsylvania to be with, maybe it's Virginia. Yeah, it's Virginia. So we turned
Pat
around.
Riggins owns property in the Shenandoahs.
Yeah, I've been there twice. That we ended up going there for the weekend rather than going to the beach. So we had kites and fins and boogie boards and fish poles, and we ended up in the wood at Pat's place in the mountains, Virginia.
What'd you do up there?
We spent a lot of time at a fireplace, and we did a little bit of work and gardening, and we went to another one of his other friends' house. Yeah.
So up in that area, Harrisonburg area, Shenandoahs, there's the Shenandoah Mountain 100 off-road mountain bike race, and it's been going on for over 20 years. And Pat Riggins did that race for years.
Oh, glomp, glomp.
Yeah.
Oh man, he drank so much.
So Pat would win what was called the Rockstar Award, which is really a hard thing to measure.
Yeah.
And it's a stupid thing to compete for. But it's not the night of, but the night before the race, and the race starts at 5:45 or whatever at before sunrise.
Yeah.
You know, you're hitting the road at sunrise. And the rock star award would be the person who partied the hardest the night before. And Pat Riggins.
Yes.
I mean, there was a moment like in the beginning where just as there's a riddle of who the longest messenger, there was a point where who had done every SM100, and people started dropping off at 9 just because whatever, you know, and Pat was one of those people, and I think maybe he just stopped racing or whatever,
Right?
You know, but that would be Pat Riggins, and you know I'm on DCMTB, and Pat Riggins is also on DCMTB, which is a mountain bike team, which I don't know who started it, and it could have been Eric Roman and Frank McGuire. I don't know who formed it, which is interesting to not know.
What's Frank's last name? Frank?
Frank McGuire or maybe Frank Peel?
I'm thinking Frank Peel, yeah.
Maybe Frank Peel. And I see Frank Peel, I'll ask him. And that's true because I know that he has a crazy mountain bike history. Mm. And so, yeah, maybe Frank Peel was one of the founders. And it was seeing the orange jersey. It was DCMTB, but people kind of thought it was City Bikes, so City Bikes was their main sponsor. But it was a team that was sponsored by City Bikes. And yeah, it was a DC mountain bike team, so I joined that. And Coach has been on it, but Swampy was on it. And I'll tell you, those meetings, you know, I mean, there were a lot of us, you know, I don't know if it was, like the Flintstones or me getting away from the wife, but we drank like it was New Year's Eve, you know. Pat was always ready for a beer. I don't know about now, but yeah. Some fun times.
Yeah.
But I see him on Strava sometimes. I think that he does get some work days on the bike. I'm not sure. Or maybe he's just riding after work.
Yeah, I think his biking is not related to making a delivery. It's just exercising, working.
Yeah. No, don't grab those. Those are like confused. So that's just, well, you can look at
White House.
It's not the White House because when you open it, I push it aside because no, that's what the cover says. If the printer messed it up, oh, this one is the White House. Oh, look at that, Calvin Costello. All right, we're gonna play a quick game. I need to put my glasses on.
Are you gonna try to show how much I can't remember people's names? My brain is gone.
Who's that messenger? All right, I'm here.
And I don't have my eyeglasses with me.
Bike messengers around the White House. All right, we're going to start with 2 easy ones. If you can't get these 2, you have to leave.
Leave what?
My house.
Uh-oh.
Oh, come on. There's no talking going on right now.
Well, I know Jay.
Jay Moglia. Good. Ding, ding. All right. Steve, we need to move on. Give me
Steve.
But old man Steve.
Here, yeah. That's right.
Old man Steve on the fixed gear. And he was out there doing it for a long time, but he may be...
He started delivering food.
Yeah, well, that was the only option. All right.
Because he's so slow, so the courier companies wouldn't want to...
So this is an interesting one. All right. We're going to do a timed one. All right? You need to name 3 of the messengers.
But I don't have my eyeglasses.
Here you go.
Oh, that might help.
All right, 3 of them. Danny Kaye, come on. LA Law, Larry Parks. Come on.
Larry Parks.
That's the nuclear protester Constantine who lived in front of the White House at Lafayette. But
Constantine?
Below.
Here. Oh. This is Lawrence.
Lawrence Parks. There you go.
Yeah.
Scotty. Okay, which one? I don't see now I don't have my glasses on. You're making me look.
My glasses are in my car.
This one right here. But is there a messenger in that photo?
You mean the really small one or the circular?
Up one.
It looks like it's a female, for one thing.
So there was a woman who lived across from the White House. And now there's other people. But right now, the White House, I hate to get into it, but it's, Lafayette Square is closed off. And have you been down there?
Yeah, that fence. Here's
but
Mark.
I think the monument's gone. Yeah, Stuttering Mark. Who else? Come on. I can't tell. Is that T-Court? Because I don't have my glasses on now. Some of it is me just trying to remember. So here's a DJ friend, you know.
Okay.
Danny Kaye.
Right. Yeah.
Kevin Keefe.
Yeah. Right. Who is no longer with us?
Yeah. Larry Jarrett, who also has passed away. Good dudes. It's a brotherhood, you know. You have time to kick it with people, time to catch up. So here's a great shot. Who's that guy? This is a classic. This is a great Chocolate City cycling collection of images. Okay, so we have right here. You have to hold this up for the camera, and maybe I'll try and zoom in.
Well, part of my problem is I'm a little bit colorblind.
Okay,
so I have a hard time.
So there's Biggs, but we're in front of the White House, and they're with Pot Squatch, and it says Pot Squatch for president. So this giant, this man in a ghillie suit is like supposed to be weed.
Okay.
And so we have Biggs, Chris Prosser, Sid, you know, all randomly happen to running into each other, you know, in front of the White House, while there happens to be me with a camera.
Yeah.
And then and this Pot Squatch. All right, still out there.
I'm sorry.
Harry.
Okay. Yeah. Some people call me when they see me. They call me Harry.
Well.
And sometime I think they call him Bruce.
Yeah. All right. So here we have Barone.
Oh shit! Where's he
Max
now?
Miller.
He's in Guatemala now.
Yeah, but I mean that's awesome. So you know, Erica. This is that's actually an Alleycat, and we're racing.
Okay.
And she's like cruising no-handed. Good big shot of Kevin Keefe.
Right. I went to visit his house maybe 2 or 3 times after he retired, being a courier.
Coach in front of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Lawrence Parks in front of Treasury. Yeah.
Is that Chris?
Yeah, the DJ guy. Brian. You're the one that told me he was a DJ. I was trying to jog your memory. Yeah. Well, here's a great shot of Rod Smith. Yeah. I need to have him on. Yeah. Pat Riggins in front of the White House. Mm-hmm. You know. Do you remember him, the Unibiker? Justin?
He's the guy who worked with Danny Kaye.
That sounds right.
They formed their own company, and then they split.
This is classic, Justin. Kevin Costello.
Yeah. He and I were partners that won an Alleycat when there was snow on the ground.
I did. Here's a photo from the day of the backward circles with Danny Kaye and Ali.
Okay.
I did an interview with David Duad. Jay Moglia. Is that Timmy right here?
Yes. He often has that stuff around his neck.
So this right here is Lawrence Colbert. I'd love to interview him. I heard that he had a leg amputated, you know, which is so sad for somebody.
Well, he's like 6'1", right?
No, I'm like 6'4". He's like 6'5".
Oh, really? Okay.
But that's like, you know, it's, I don't know.
I used to see him at Ward Place Post Office. I
think he's passed away. Big Tony.
I'm not sure who Big Tony is.
That's Big Tony. Here's a guy I call Tri-Tom. He was ex-military. He's the one who had the package.
Oh, yeah. He was always going in front of the White House. That's where I would see him.
Now, how about this guy?
Let's see.
He was out there for a long time.
I really can't see it. I can't figure it out. I'm sorry. I need to have my eyeglasses.
All right, enough with that.
Yeah, or you don't want that over here, okay?
Yeah, you can go wherever. You don't have to. You can look at the books if you need to jog your memory. I'm gonna get some more water. Why don't you talk to the camera or something while I?
Okay.
Do you want a dessert?
No, thanks. But can you pour water in there?
Do you want a popsicle?
No, thanks. If you put water in that, would be great.
Do you want a cookie? You're not talking to the camera.
Yes, cocoa. I'll take a cookie. So as a courier, I had a salary position for many years where I delivered every single ticket from a travel agency to U.S. Department of Justice employee. And there were about 15 different buildings where Department of Justice people were informed, but a lot of them I had to deliver was for 555 4th Street. And I had to go into each of the first, second floor, third floor, fifth floor, and I had to telephone people for them to come to on their floor near the elevators. And so that was a salary position for delivering for all of those Department of Justice. And I was also working for other courier companies at the same time. And the nice thing about that was a salary position where I got it in the morning and then in the afternoon, which allowed me to play soccer at the Oval near the White House, between the White House and
the Ellipse.
What did I say? Oval?
You said
Ellipse. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I used to play soccer Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And another player was Suave. He was there, who would play.
So Suave, again, similar, you mentioned Painted Nails. Suave is, an over 3-decade bike messenger. And so he would be on the list of long-timer lifers still out there for maybe holding the current, the current whatever.
But working for courier companies, it kind of stopped for him. So he was doing food. He's been delivering food for maybe 5 years, 6 years. And then he was also doing edible. Yeah.
Urban stems.
Oh, I'm not edible. Yeah, urban stems. Oh.
He probably got a pretty solid check. Urban Stems did something that I'm not sure any bike messenger company ever did, and they paid severance.
And they had a lot of food for lunch. And
I'm saying that when someone is let go from a company,
yeah,
it can just be goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
But Urban Stems paid severance to their workers. I don't know how much he got, but to get anything was probably pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's the riddle. So I'm not the gatekeeper, and I don't know who is, but yeah, back in the day, if you weren't doing law firm stuff, if you were, I know that Pen Camera did rolls of film and stuff, and people did it on bike. Bike messenger would be like, nope, that wasn't a bike messenger. People delivered pizza. They couldn't come and sit in DuPont with bike messengers.
Right.
Pizza people had to hang with their own kind,
Yes.
And then it gets funny because in some ways, there was a moped group in the late 80s called Alleycat Express, but it was like a cult. And they all went to parties together. They all hung out together. They all got drunk together. They had a great time. It was like a dysfunctional. There was their own, not bike messenger, a smaller, because there was only 20 of them. But one guy knew how to fix them, and whatever.
So I also was able to become a courier for travel agencies, and I worked as their only delivery guy, 3 different travel agencies. So it was very cheap because they didn't have to give any money to the company. They just straight to me. So, and I was working for 4 courier companies, and it was.
So that's an interesting thing. So you were delivering plane tickets, but now that's obsolete because everything's
people
online.
can do it on their own computers. Yeah.
Yeah, you print it or you just show your phone. And so that's an example of how the bike messenger industry became obsolete. And then that's the riddle of so when Suave would talk about being a messenger, I said, oh, delivering flowers, I guess you're still a messenger because flowers are the message of love. You know, because exactly, how is it that delivering flowers? So it then becomes like, do we change the definition of being a courier or a bike messenger? Like, it's almost like track bike and fixed gear. Like, a track bike is a fixed gear, but a fixed gear is not necessarily a track bike.
But basically, the biggest thing that changed in the late 80s and 90s is that couriers delivered everything. And then, like in the 90s and the 2000s, the stuff that normally was delivered is now doing it on a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we used to go to government agencies, all of them, like Justice and going down Southwest a lot. And now all this stuff is just...
Yeah, EPA.
Yeah, down on 4th and M, Southwest. And
Just real quick, Johnny, can you tell me what an Alleycat is? Well, what is it? What is it? It's a race started by couriers. I think in Toronto, actually. Oh, now you're getting all into it. I just was looking for one sense. Like, an Alleycat is a day to emulate the day of a bike messenger. Pick up, drop off, manifest.
Alleycat is any race that's courier done. Sometimes it can imitate a day in the life of the work, but sometimes it can be more of a scavenger hunt. And it's anything in between, really. But it's a vibe too, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's not just any goofball hangout. It's a goofball hangout with couriers.
Awesome. DuPont Circle, Courier Corner, battery running low. I don't know if we're going to have enough battery for this conversation, Suave. All right, so introduce yourself and then just answer one simple question for me. What is an Alleycat?
Suave. An Alleycat is a race that follows bike messengers' workday, going from courthouses, law firms, having a checkpoint with beer, having a checkpoint with weed. That's a courier's day.
Fantastic. So you've been a messenger for a long time. How many Alleycats do you think you've done in your bicycling lifetime?
At least 50.
And I know that I've raced with and against you here in DC. What are some other places where you have raced Alleycats?
Puerto Rico, Berlin, Germany, New York, Philly. That's about it.
That sounds pretty awesome. Thanks, Suave.
Sure.
All right, here I am in DuPont Circle, and I've just run into Jeff, also known as Painted Nails, also known as 88. Jeff, I just got one quick question, and you may have the answer to it. What is an Alleycat?
Alleyecat, something very dangerous for...
All right, so this is fine. We don't really need the video. A lot of this was going to be B-roll of anyway, I've got footage of riding with you. We did the PJ Alleycat, and I had the camera on. And then when you were planning your 70th birthday party, Alleycat. I pre-wrote that with you. So I've got all this footage that I think I'm going to show that, except for maybe some parts where you talk. So I'll have to do some editing because you were animated with some good stories. But with a lot of it, I'm going to try and show some other stuff. And maybe put some photos in there. So, okay, so we're backtrack. So you were saying...
So one last other thing that you might be able to have knowledge or talk or whatever, or your pictures, was at the Alleycat that I did not really compete. It was related to about my wife passing away, and there were like 40 people or so that rode a group ride going, and we went to different I was going to have an Alleycat, but then she passed away, but I continued using the different caps.
And then, so and then after the ceremony and the gathering and the words, you gave away hats.
Yes. And I was just hoping maybe you could put it like 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah. And so I actually, and then in that, I gave my friend Beth one of Dolores's hats, and it's one of Beth's main hats.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But so let's backtrack real quick. So we're talking about the technology, and we're talking about how you delivered, you know, the airline tickets,
right,
the travel tickets, and then that was removed because of the digital technology. But also, let's reverse. So you could really just talk your way down Pennsylvania Avenue, and you could list every building, and you went into every building.
It's up there.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. It just shut off. But we're recording this.
Yes.
And you would have to have a knowledge of the interior of that building.
True.
It would be to your advantage. Department of Commerce or
Customs.
Or Customs. Anyway, exactly. You're like, if you got entry and went into the wrong entrance, you could have to walk a city block down these corridors.
Yeah.
But in a pre-9/11, pre-anthrax world, bike messengers had access. And there was, and in a lot of places, there was no signing in, no showing of ID. And you'd have to memorize it, like, you know, off the top of your head. You're like, give me the 3 Senate office buildings on Capitol Hill.
You mean like
Russell, Dirks, and Hart.
Okay.
Okay, give me the House office buildings.
Oh wow, I didn't go very often.
Rayburn, Logworth, Cannon.
Yes. I'm getting old. It's been like 15 years since I've been to any of those.
Well, yeah, because they banned messengers, and
Chip's the only
for some reason was the only.
Well, he has jeans.
Well, he had that Michael Douglas falling down uniform that he would wear, and somehow he believes that. And there was a time when they had something called the BAC card, the Building Access Card.
Okay.
I even had one, and I called it a badass courier card because it was a government ID for non-government employees.
Okay.
And you almost never needed it except after hours. And so
I never had one.
That's amazing that you didn't have one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to the Capitol very much because I had the courier companies that I worked for knew that I was like from 6th Street going west. Yeah. Well, 4th Street west.
So did you ever? Well, so not going to Capitol Hill. Huge reduction because DC famous is really more politics than anything else. You know, I could be like, yeah, I was riding, I almost got hit by Ted Kennedy in a Dodge Caravan. You know, or those are your brushes with famous people in DC. I also rented a bicycle to Joe Kennedy when I worked at Big Wheel Bikes. So those are our famous people. And that's America Blue Blood. I just reached for some of the most, you know, famous names in pop culture politics. But did you have any encounters with anybody?
Yeah, I delivered maybe twice to vice president, but I can't remember his name. It was for medicine for his wife. I think it might have been.
Now, where did you deliver to the vice president?
He had a house in Georgetown.
So I like to tell a story.
Like P Street? I think.
Well, so the vice president has a house. When they live, just like the White House, the president lives in the White House. The vice president's house is on the observatory grounds.
No, I'm not talking about that. Maybe it was on Prospect. Nah, whatever. Anyway. And
well, those details.
I think it might have been Carter's vice president.
So Carter's vice president would be Bob Dole. No, hold on. No. Oh my, Mondale?
No.
Who was Jimmy Carter's?
Well, maybe it was.
This is embarrassing. Let's. Okay, first off, this isn't interesting
It's
to
not.
anybody except us. You're old and I'm high,
Yeah.
and that's a bad combination. So, and I was also a small child. You know, I was like a grade schooler when Carter was president. So, but it's an interesting thing because I'll see photos of Jimmy Carter and Jimmy Carter's daughter, and I have seen photos where people
Amy?
that I grew
Amy?
up with were with Amy Carter. Like this friend of mine, Lindsay. I've seen photos of her roller skating around the White House pool, and just other stories like that. You know, you live in Washington D.C. You know, you do D.C. things, and people of the same age know each other. And it's like my son was at the White House when Michelle Obama set the world record for most people doing jumping jacks for a minute.
Oh.
You know, because his whole class went from a school or whatever. But so like maybe when they're not in office, they live in a house, but when they're in office, don't they live in the vice president's house at the observatory?
Right, observatory.
Which was, when we did that Alleycat, that whole area on Halloween was closed off. All the Mass Ave and then Observatory Road, everything that flanked the vice president's house.
I don't remember.
Who are you, Oliver North? So I worked as a motorcycle courier for CBS News.
Okay.
And sometimes our tasks would be to tail people.
Oh.
And Oliver North, so in that era, I spent a lot of time camped out in front of Monica Lewinsky's house.
Oh.
And she lived at the Watergate. And when these people would come out and they would get into a cab or a car, or their lawyer would pick them up, it would just be a parade of people of the press. Every press had its people, and then it could be cameramen. And I had one crazy time very early on in the media paparazzi. There was this guy, Felix Bloch, and he lived on California Street, and he was Austrian State Department. And someone had seen him passing off an attaché case or something like that. It could have been a backgammon board, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But this guy got some heavy scrutiny by the press. But it gets hilarious. He's a total character. And he took it head on. And he would tip the press. And he'd say, I'm going to my pharmacist tomorrow at 6:45. So everyone would have to show up and be there before 6:45, and then he would start walking. And it could get funny because the cameraman would do that walking backwards thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so, not a big deal if he's local, but one time he left out his lawyer's place and he got onto the canal. And then there's no chance for me or another person to drive the camera crew around. So the camera crew walked backwards.
Right.
And he went to Fletcher's Boathouse from north of DuPont and from Georgia. But yeah, it's like
that's like 2 miles.
Well, no. Fletcher's maybe 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Sheesh.
it's just hilarious. I know. I think he might even go. I need to call my friend Mike Ryan and get the answer, because Mike Ryan was the person doing the messenger work. There was a slew of people who were motorcycle messengers, and we'd share the duties. And sometimes on those days, it wasn't uncommon for us to drive the CBS vehicle. Like it was pretty fun. You get to drive a Crown Vic, or one time I was driving a Chevy Suburban with a lift kit, but this was like the late '80s, so
Those things are
it
long.
was huge, yeah. And there was this guy Dan Tutman, and he's a wild dude, and he was a cameraman, and he got on the roof of the car, and I don't know if he was standing or sitting, and we went alongside Felix Bloch while he was on one of these walks, and Felix Bloch looked at me and looked up at him, and he's having a conversation with Dan Tutman, and he said to Dan, he's like, oh, you have much greater faith in fellow man than I do. And but that was like months of chasing that guy, and it wasn't me every day, but it was either me, Mike Ryan, John Reardon, or we all like lived in a group house, and some of those guys, just as there were bike messengers, there were motorcycle messengers. And Archer Alley, and there was Metro Courier that had a fleet of BMWs that their people rode. But Archer Alley, there were all these punk rock guys, just a line of them, who rode their sport bikes and worked as motorcycle messengers, and did work that was just slightly outside the city.
Just so you know, in terms of Metro, I still work for Metro.
Well, keep talking about Metro.
And I took over.
Keep talking.
Jeez. I just can't remember his name right now. Oh, wow.
So, do you work for Pam Blum? Who do you get the work from?
Oh, she got rid of that.
Is the original owner still open? The founder?
I don't
is
think
he alive? Because I thought it would be interesting to interview him, or even Pam. I went to high school with Pam.
Oh. Yeah. Jeez. Oh.
So Metro, who owns Metro now?
I don't really know. It might be John something, and he was a guitarist. And at one of my Alleycats, they allowed us to. He had a band going.
Well, that's vague. Did they have records? Were they popular? Were they groundbreaking?
No.
Because Jay Moglia. Oh
yeah.
Was a talented guitarist.
And he wrote the words and the music.
Yeah. He was in his project Crippled Pilgrims for a long time. But he was known to be like a aficionado with the guitar. Kind of like innovative.
I've seen him perform twice. Once at his place and once at 21st and P, where you were.
Well, that's a legendary story, because I don't know if Khalid or maybe Chip Landis took the photos. There's a moment where I'm talking to Jay about, I'm hosting this Alleycat and I want to end at this bar, and he's saying that there's going to be a $20 cover, and I'm saying no messenger is going to pay $20 to cover. Do you want people to see your band? Mm-hmm. I could just change the finish. I'm not going to tell people that you want to finish and have a beer, and it was a tough moment, and it turned out I think that Jay's band played, but also the Chariots,
right?
Zach Brown,
right?
So and he raced that day,
yeah.
So I thought that was an excellent messenger culture, keep it alive type moment. And people got a chance to see Jay play. I think it was some bad timing on my part, score when people finishing scoring. But we're not making people sit there and, you see a few songs, and because, the show must go on. People got to go home. The scoring was a little funky on that. This one guy, Kirk Saunders, was supposed to be at this tunnel under Canal Road or whatever, and instead he was by the Potomac Canoe Club where K Street, Water Street runs into the Capitol Crescent Trail. Mm-hmm. So a few people, since he was the checkpoint, they got there when they were going to go. When they would have gone up the Capitol Crescent Trail and gotten to the point that they needed to get to. And so Kate was the first, because I went there and corrected him. Oh. And Kate it's confusing. Kate really, it's not the racer's fault. They were on their way to go to the correct place, but they were like, that he was like checkpoint. And I'm sure they were like, but, like. Yeah, I don't like glitches and Alleycats, and I don't think that it should be okay. I think I'm a little uptight, I think I don't like silly scoring, I want it to be, the people, whatever. I think whatever. I get it. It's just a game, but if I'm playing, you've played games with me. If we play croquet, there's the rules, and we're going to play by the rules. It's
disc golf.
Yeah, you're going to keep score. You're going to play it as legit as you can. Yeah, a dog leg's a dog leg. If you throw the frisbee and you don't do the dog leg, you got to go back. Mm-hmm. That's the game.
You have to go around the specific tree with it.
So why don't you like the Alleycat course, the frisbee golf course on Alleycat University, down on Florida?
Yeah.
That's if I do a 420 Alleycat, people are going to have to play a hole there.
Okay. So just so you think, I am going with my mom, my sister, her husband, and my brother and his wife, all 6 of us. We're going up from Miami to to Yucatan, Belize, Costa Rica, Panama. And that's April.
Oh, for how long?
For 2 weeks.
Well,
so I won't be there.
Well, actually, 420 would be the 20th.
Yeah,
and that's 20 days. 2 weeks is 14 days. So figure it out.
We're leaving on April 15.
So in the world of messengers, part of the culture, there were this groups of people, and I don't know who, but Pat Riggins, Kevin Keefe, Larry Jarrett, and I don't know who else. These guys would. This was before there were the Alleycat competitions. These guys would go travel and maybe go tour and go places together. Mm-hmm. And that's, I don't know the story how. I think it was on a trip to Mexico that Pat got the nickname the Swamp Rat. That doesn't sound good, And yeah, so I think I need to get some of those guys on to tell some of the stories. But did you ever go on any of those adventures? Or even did you travel internationally for Alleycats? You went to Guatemala.
And went to Australia, Sydney.
So who do you go to Australia with?
My wife.
What year was that? Who from DC went that year?
Andy Zalen was there. April.
I'm going to have to edit. There's so much time between these names.
Maybe.
So how'd you do? How was the race? How many people were there? What year was that?
There was an Alleycat for, I don't know, maybe 50 people on Friday before it. And I ended up being the top out-of-town guy. I think I got 4th because I had ridden with somebody else who was doing really well from Sydney, who knew where they were going around. And in the... Boy, it's trying to remember different things.
So in the 80s, there was this guy, Drew Walker, who was a bike messenger.
Yeah, I remember his name. But I can't.
Yeah, they had a trans-Australia race. And he won. It was like east to west. And he was like, that wasn't enough of a challenge. And so he like went and did north to south.
Oh.
And his girlfriend was like, I'm done with you. He was trying to get sponsorship, and he was trying to do a South America trip, and he was luring me in on it.
Oh.
I mean, it would have just been a major commitment, but I don't know. And he also was planning, so this is all Drew Walker, and I'd rather get it straight from the horse's mouth, but I'm just trying to, just to give an idea of, like, these messengers were dynamic people. And he was trying to, create a bicycle route that paralleled the Appalachian Trail from Maine to Florida. Now, I don't know how far he got with that, but this is somebody who, he did the Continental Divide, ride the Divide ride, and he did this across Australia thing. So he had done dynamic things on the bike. So, yeah. But I don't know what he's up to now.
Wasn't there a guy who worked with Andy Zalen named Drew? Another guy? And he had a brother who also was a courier? I can't remember what his name is, though. Drew. I'm trying to remember who Drew Walker is. But it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's different waves and different eras. And he might have predated you.
Okay. Yeah, because I really started... when was the DC World Championships? What year was that?
I'm not a historian.
Is it like 97?
I think it could have been 98. I'm picturing a sticker, but I can't. I wasn't what I was in. I was mountain biking,
Yeah, but that's just when I started doing biking stuff.
Uh-huh.
I had already been as a courier for 10 years, but I wasn't being social with other bikers. Yeah. I was social with soccer players and ultimate frisbee. And I mean, I competed in the World Championships up in Toronto as part of the DC. Yeah, as part of the DC team. DC. And I was like, they tried to get the top players only to go, but a lot of them couldn't go. And so I was like second or third place down categories. I wanted to go. Yeah.
I played in a few ultimate tournaments when I was in college.
Okay.
And so I went to St. Mary's College in Maryland, and they hosted an Isley Cup. And I mainly played intramural, but so
did I.
So they knew that I could play.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really on the team per se, but when we had the tournaments, I was a handler,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I came out and we got destroyed. We could beat, like, let's say Navy or something like that, but there's this one team called New York, and everybody was 6'6", it seemed, on their team.
Really?
I'm joking, but
Yeah.
because you couldn't beat them in the air. There was no 50.
A lot of really good teams have short guys who are the handlers because they can accelerate very fast. And
these guys
they're only going 130
if these
pounds.
guys didn't get horizontal and make the catch, they'd drop and give 20 push-ups. I mean, but they weren't like jocks; they were still hippies.
Okay.
But no, one of our key players was this guy Eric Wank, and he's the small player that you're talking about. And when I would play him intramurally, he was our top player. Mm-hmm. So I would cover him man to man. And you know what he would do? Just go stand in the corner to make me inactive on defense. Because if I could play him loose, I could break something else up. But he'd remove me, so I was out of the game.
Interesting.
And so if I didn't cover him, then he could beat that person, you know. And I couldn't necessarily have beaten him. He was a superior player. You know,
Do any of the people go like that?
everyone does that. Come on, dude.
Because to get above your hand, your defender.
He was a soccer player, and we played soccer together. And he's the one kind of like introduced the hacky sack to us in the late
Used to
'80s.
do a little of that too.
Yeah, who was it? Chris Prosser, I think.
He's a very good.
Yeah, apparently, like if there's a pro, like
Yeah,
hacky sack.
in terms of the bike community, yeah, it's definitely him.
Yeah. So, who are some of the who do you think some of the top earners that you as bike messengers, like back in the day, like I think there was a little ego of like how much you make, and you kind of have to go company to company. It's like the Formula One Drive to Survive Netflix series. You're competing so much against the other car on your same team because it's the same dispatcher, same team, same pay scale, whatever, same philosophy. Who are some of the top money makers?
I'm not really sure. I presumed Andy Zalen.
He's pretty wily.
Yeah, because he had a lot of his own clients, so he didn't have to have he had his own company. Bega had a lot of passports and
Just so funny that there was so much work that all of these people were able to create their own companies. And now, how many companies are there?
4, 5. There used to be like 30, I think.
At least.
Yeah.
And because you have all these micro companies. I mean, there would have been a time when you might not even, like, when Real Courier started, people may not even considered it a company. Because other companies had offices and employees and
Real Courier used to do the on First Street Northeast Nuclear. What is it called? FERC, yeah. They would deliver like 40 things each hour, and they had to do it and come back again for another batch. And
That's a
so
good
Timmy
point.
did one, I did one, I did some of those, and they divided it up so that we would have enough time to get back there the next hour.
And now, since it was a known multiple, was it still a good rate, or? And no, my friend Michael Jones worked as a dispatcher at Real Courier. I don't know how
Mike
big
Jones,
they were.
I know who that is, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know, but I'm saying like it. There was a time when it was cars, motorcycles, bikes. Like companies were big, and
Yeah. So I still work for Metro. I still work for Best. I used to do Orient Express, Central Delivery. I used to work for Ali, worked for Matt and Pat, Real Courier. Yeah. And myself. Oh, and Zoom. I don't know if you know very much about Zoom. A lot of people really hated it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what was the story with Zoom?
What was her name? The woman. Oh, what's her name? She was one of the best female couriers.
Sheila?
No, she had kind of purple hair.
She had purple hair for a moment.
Oh yeah, I used to work for her.
Dana Heater?
No, that's not the woman I'm thinking of. Blonde hair. She used to live at 20.
I don't know. I'm not going to know.
She married to a courier who was tall and fat. Sam, maybe, what's his name? And they moved out to Colorado.
Well, I would know because she was like the kingpin of Capital Bike Share. So yeah, that's Kim Reynolds. Pink.
Yes.
Yeah, Kim Reynolds. She rode a fixed gear. She was a total badass.
Yeah.
And she's a badass at Capital Bike Share. So yeah, I don't know about.
She used to work for Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was working also a little bit for Zoom.
Yeah, she's sharp, super sharp, and yeah. So that's an interesting story because, you know, Washington D.C. was the first bike share in the world, and they had Smart Bike, and I don't know if those guys were involved in that, but when Capital Bike Share started, it was Eric Gilliland, who had been executive director of WAPA,
Right. Yeah.
and then all these other people. This guy Ewan Fisk, who had been I don't know the history. I'm just piecing this together, but you know, Kim and Sean Smith, and I knew Sean from both. He was
I was saying Sam. Yeah, it's Sean Smith.
And you know, so I mean, these people were like, bike share is now international. It's everywhere. I mean, the companies are independent, or some of them are related, or they're owned by parent companies. But it's cool. What a cool thing to be part of this, like, transportation. It's now like as commonplace as, you know, a bus. I would say that e-bikes probably are outdoing the regular bikes nowadays, but I'm still pulling for the bike. I think so. What's interesting is that, you know, they have these bikes. I just think they need to make and they have them. I think they should put a lighter weight. They should reward the person who's riding the analog bike, and just give them a lighter weight bike option. You know, they found out what works, what doesn't work, durability wise, and yeah, I mean, the frame doesn't have to be a tank.
When did you stop repairing those?
I worked for
Like
Capital Bike Share
a
for
year
a
and a
little bit
half?
over 2 years, and they let me go.
Like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, at least. Maybe longer than that.
Okay. So it was during COVID?
After COVID, after COVID.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Capital Bike Share, you know, not only did it employ, you know, Elliot worked at Capital Bike Share for a while.
Elliot is short, small.
Yeah, Elliot. Yeah, and now he's in some sort of bicycle pedestrian safety advocacy.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be at the garage races.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the organizers. He's with he's with the team Crosshairs. And this year, Elliot was the race director of that cyclocross race. And I mean, a pretty mega serious position, especially since this year.
For kids?
You're in the Pan American game. No, I did the kids thing. That's like a puppet show at Woodstock. He was on stage with Santana. You know, he was organized. So that was one day of Pan Am games and one day of, you know, local series cyclocross racing, and he was the director of that. Like, you know, my brother was involved with other people in course design, but a lot goes into making an event like that happen. And I don't know what, because I don't do that. But Elliot, he probably started working on it January 1, and he's probably already, they have to, there's a lot that goes into that the planning of an event like that. You know, and you've hosted Alleycats, and that's for 40 people. Well, he's doing, a lot more racers, a lot more categories, a lot more things to juggle. But but then Capital Bike Share, Sean Carver was a longtime messenger, and he was a mobile bike mechanic. Let's think. Dave Eisler is still with Capital Bike Share, and he was, a mobile bike mechanic after a long time bike messenger, but now has different warehouse duties. And then there's a guy, Jack Blackfelt, and he was with tattoos, and so he was a bike messenger, I think, in a few cities, and he was a DC bike messenger, and he appears in some of my books. But he was a very early, they went through the mechanics carried different tools and had different responsibilities. There was an evolution of that task, and he was very early in that. And now he is he's involved with the installation of the stations, and so now he drives equipment and works cranes and stuff like that. And he's a different part of the machine. Let's think who else, and of course Rod Smith, longtime bike messenger,
Jack, right?
Jake Blackfelt. Is it Jake or Jack?
I think it's Jack. Anyway,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I said.
where we play bike polo, he has been working with kids in roller hockey at the same place. He's
You're
working
saying
with kids.
in Frederick?
No, down here, southeast, 13th and D, southeast. Yeah, he's been working with kids for playing hockey with rollers. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so, yeah, so there used to be a bunch of bike messengers that did roller hockey and
In front of the White House.
in front of the White House.
Yeah, I did it once.
Can you skate? You don't know if you can skate?
I think it was with shoes. Yeah, just tennis shoes.
No, well, yeah, different game. I can't skate well enough to play hockey, much less roller hockey. But
So those two things up there, why are their hands up like this? Any idea?
the Buddha,
But why?
that's just a classic Buddha pose, happy Buddha pose.
Does it mean, oh, I'm doing it wrong? It's like this. Hands up.
But so these are, do you see like the hole in between there's a straw hole. These are Benihana glasses. I wasn't cool enough to steal them from Benihana. I bought them at an estate sale. But so it's not even Buddhas. And it's kind of a funny thing because I do love the Buddha, but it's like, I guess maybe the Buddha doesn't care, but like, is it a little bit sacrilege? Imagine if like I had like a crucifix with a crazy straw coming out of it. Yeah, just pick it up.
I'm surprised. Oh, it's really heavy. No,
No,
not
it was-
really.
It was just stuck because it,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So you know the restaurant Benihana? It's like a
Yeah.
gentrified Japanese restaurant.
I'm surprised you're not putting some here for them to hold up.
I mean, there's a time I used to change my front window display every couple months, and my mantle. It's different with my kids not here. But come on over here. I'll show you a few more Buddhas that I have.
By the way, you know they're the monks that were walking?
Yeah, from Texas to D.C.
Did I tell you that my one of my classmates in the Philippines from like 3rd to 6th grade, maybe 2nd to 5th, whatever. They were from Kansas City. His name's Bill Schuler, and his dad was working with my dad in the laboratory. And anyway, so now Bill was walking and saw these monks just like maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago. He saw them talking with them along the oh wow. Oh. Yeah.
How do they do that?
Wow.
I bought that
Huh.
in Hong Kong.
So anyway, my old classmate and his dad was working for my dad's laboratory in the Philippines. Anyway, so now Bill Schuler has a big house out near Alexandria. Well, maybe like Arlington. Anyway, so he has all the monks sleeping there at this house when they're there for a week here in the DC. It's just incredible.
Now, do they do this walk every year?
No. But they come here and try to inform people and show what monk is about. And yeah. And so anyway, they sleep in his house.
I trekked in Nepal for 3 weeks, and
Like 20 years ago?
yeah, pre-kids.
Okay.
With my now dead ex-wife, you rest her soul, but you
Yeah.
know, yeah, we went and trekked together, and you know, it borders Tibet, and so you encounter all sorts of Tibetan monks and Tibetan culture while you're in these hills. I mean, it was just a phenomenal experience. And recently, it's funny because I was going to go to Southeast Asia with my girlfriend, and at that time I was working at Big Wheel Bikes at Eastern Market, and there was a rug store next door owned by this guy Mehmet, and Mehmet was like, he's like, oh, you know, where are you going? And I had a rough itinerary. He's like, oh, are you going to go to Nepal? I said, I really hadn't considered it. He goes, no, you must go. And then he gave me this map for the Annapurna circuit. And this is basically pre-internet. The internet existed, but it didn't have information that it has now. And it really was just, it was so limited. And so, yeah, we went and we trekked and we did this Annapurna circuit. And it was amazing, and I'm forever grateful, and it was an opportunity of a lifetime. And I maintained friends with that guy Mehmet, and he died visiting Turkey, his homeland, on January 1st this year.
Was he in his 50s or 60s?
He was in his 80s.
Oh, okay.
He lived a good life. He was a professor at AU. He went to Harvard,
Wow.
Middle East Studies. And what's interesting is he bought the property that Big Wheel Bikes had occupied, that location on Eastern Market closed. And he wanted to open a bike shop there and have me run it. But I had worked at a bike shop there, and I just didn't think that location was... And I was right. I mean, I knew, 8th Street has tried to have bike shops there as well, Capitol Hill for some reason. There are plenty of people with money, but for some reason, they weren't spending their money there. Other shops, even if I just went off Big Wheel Bikes and Mike Sendar's multiple location over the years, Bethesda was a cash cow, and then Spout Run even sold more bikes than that. Old Town Alexandria would putter along. The Georgetown store.
3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them now. Right?
Well, I mean, at his peak, he had 5. He had one on Vermont Avenue.
I know.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a shocker. And the warehouse to the Georgetown store, there's a big overlap between the shop's employees, and Mike Sendar was a gambler and also like habitual pot smoker and maybe some other things. And so messengers, some of them dealt in weed. There was one guy, Jim Rapp, who was legendary for weed.
City paper.
Exactly. He wrote the article, Jackpot Featherhead or whatever. And but Sendar, he was a character. He didn't care much for bikes, but he had multiple shops, and a lot of people worked for him. A lot of messengers. It was a natural transition to go to the bike shops, or even sometimes go back and forth between the bike shop. Let's sit. We'll talk for a few more minutes, and then. So do you think you'll stay in the area? Have you ever thought about retiring somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. But when Dolores was still alive, I was thinking, we had talked about possibly thinking about moving to Jamaica, maybe to Belize, maybe to Costa Rica. Because I don't exactly think we wanted to live near our family's members. Not go to Iowa or Minnesota or South Carolina or Atlanta or Jersey.
So how long were you and Dolores married before she passed away? Or how long were you together?
We met each other in 1987. She passed away about 2 years ago now.
And
So we were married in 1990. Yeah. So basically half our lives, half of my life. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so no kids?
None. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. And I had met her, and I always enjoyed hanging out with her.
Yeah.
She'd come to some of the Alleycats that you hosted and party with the couriers.
True.
And
she never really biked very much, but she could, but not as a courier, or it was maybe like in a parking lot.
The parking garage races are this weekend, but
just a sec. I made a 20-inch wheel, a bike, 20-inch wheel, 3-speed, and I made it for her. Because I figured it was low enough so that she could put her feet on the ground in case of falling over to the side, as opposed to a bigger bike. And she never really rode it. I still have it.
Well, but so I'm not really familiar with where you live, but don't you live in kind of like a valley?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the problem is like just starting on the bike, you have to go uphill.
Yeah.
And I think once if we're flat, like she could just ride a normal bike, but she never got the hang of it because it just seemed like
she went out to I used to play soccer with Jamaicans and out at PG at a soccer tournament. She went out there and she rode on the parking lot.
Like I was saying, like
Yeah.
the flatter area would be better for her.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm sorry. But so with her gone, are those thoughts in the back of your mind? Would that make sense to you? Or maybe you could, I don't know, if you sold your house here, you could buy a house.
Yeah. And I lived in the Philippines from kindergarten through 10th grade, and I know some of the dialects. And we have a group chat in our phones for all of my elementary, junior high. Yeah.
I'll tell you honestly, you got a network of friends here. I think it would be tough for you to give up, your bike family.
True. In many ways, yeah.
The people that you become friends with, things you take for granted. You're mobile, you're downtown. Just you have these chance meetings that if you lived in another country, you wouldn't just happen to run into an old friend every day.
True.
Or have the option. You're a gregarious person. You could make friends. You could join a church and start singing there.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea because I'm in a similar situation. I do have kids, and my kids are, one's graduated college, the other one graduates this May, and I'm offering him a base, whatever, for a certain time period. But I also consider, can I give up the comfort of home for? Yeah, maybe retiring in, I don't know, like on the beach somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, growing up in the Philippines, I was snorkeling like starting at 10th grade, or 10 years of age, and I wanted to become an oceanographer because I knew a lot about the ocean and snorkeling, and became a scuba diver when I was 15 years of age. Yeah. And I used to do some science projects related to coral. I have very, very good seashell collection. You need to come back to my house sometime to see it.
Invite me. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I used to have an impressive seashell collection. You're trying to give me an issue here. But my grandparents retired in Fort Myers, Florida, and we did a lot of fishing. But there's multiple beaches that have different ecosystems. And Sanibel Captiva being one of them.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest.
But we really didn't understand
but
ecology.
Just so you know, in terms of seashells, it's better in the Pacific than in the Atlantic. There's a huge variety in the Pacific compared to Atlantic.
But I'm talking about Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And tropical is warmer.
It's still not that good. Gulf of Mexico, whatever.
Are you kidding me?
It's not. It's better.
So you're saying Pacific South down towards
yes.
Mexico?
No. Well.
Costa Rica?
That's still east. That's
No,
Atlantic.
Costa Rica has both coasts.
I know. The part of Costa Rica that Dolores and I went to was Limon and Puerto Viejo.
And that was the Pacific side, right?
No.
No?
That's the Atlantic side. Limon was like a lot of the influence from Trinidad and Jamaicans. music, reggae.
I went to Cahuita, that was a reggae town, like a Rasta town.
Okay.
Descendants. Yeah, Costa Rica, there's enough expats there you could go down and have like a mixed community.
Yeah, but if you do like, one.
So the police station is on this road and lights and stuff are not that big of a deal. So that when Joy was shot, and I heard the gunshot, but also gunshots in this neighborhood aren't that rare. So I didn't get up and I didn't go look. I'm not like, and then I saw all the police cars, but I was like, I'll find out in the morning. I'm glad I didn't go out. It would have been disturbing to see my friend, dead on the ground, being put in a stretcher.
He played polo with us.
Oh yeah? How was he? Okay, good.
He was fast, but not really understanding the physical and the teamwork.
Yeah. Well.
But he also used to do the time trials.
And he was a juggler.
Yes, at Malcolm X.
Yeah, he used to do the juggling troupe, and that was quite impressive.
Oh, and he also used to throw the frisbee before the Alleycats would start. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ran into his father a few months back and asked him if he wanted to do a podcast episode with him. I need to chase him down. I'd like to do a little, just a little recap of what happened or what we know happened. I think that Nate, who does the critical mass rides, I was going to have him break it down for me. But why don't we wind this down?
Yeah.
Bruce, thanks for coming over. Thanks for bringing me dinner. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for entertaining me.
Sure.
So I'll have to edit this down. I'll have to figure out how to,
Oh, by the way, I'm somewhat interested in driving up to Baltimore to have ska bands, but I don't know if Kristen Forbes is going to be there or not. I forgot to communicate with her.